This is Don Brill with Brill Engineering. We have a half pound of medium grain rice. We usually work with small grain rice. Medium is going to be a little bit harder for us to separate, but we've made some changes to the impact holder. So the first thing one does is winnow it to get rid of the unfilled holes, because you're always going to have immatures. So let's start with that. I'm using this as my I'll go over all of this later. Before we start processing it, here's the setup again. This is a 1.5 horsepower, 3,450 RPM motor. I'm using a hose as my coupler between these two shafts. You can buy commercial couplers. This allows me to not be precisely aligned. The shaft I have in here has a flat on it, which I would say don't use. Use one that's round and grind in your own flats, because the rice actually hits the flat and comes out. So I've put a plexiglass window on here so we can see what's going on. This is the impeller that we show how to build. This is 1/8 inch thick polyurethane, 90 durometer, which I've epoxied on here. So the rice is going to come in the middle through this funnel, goes down in there, it gets sucked in, comes around here, comes through here, back in here. We have a 60 durometer, 1/8 inch thick urethane sheeting here to absorb the impact. When we were sending the rice straight down, it just comes out too fast. So this is what we're doing now to winnow it. So the rice comes in here, goes into this transfer box, comes down, goes through this 3-inch PVC pipe. And there is PVC pipe that is good for potable water, so you could use that if you're worried about the FDA compliance. I would go with a 4-inch pipe, but I have 3-inch. And it was coming out so fast that the rice kernels were going up and out my winnowing system. So I added this piece of polyurethane in there to deflect it, slow everything down a bit. And now none of the rice, the hulled rice or the unhulled rice, can make it up through my winnowing system. Right here I transfer to a 4-inch. Well, let me back up. This 3-inch PVC is about 3 feet long. Then I go into this transfer station, and down at the bottom is a jar that I'll show you in a few minutes. Then the husks all go up. Now I've transferred to a 4-inch, and it is 4 feet long. Goes up here we have the U, then it comes back down. Now we've switched back to a 3-inch, and the husks go into here. And of course the most important thing is that we have no rice coming into the tub. So let me take the jar off there, show you how we did that. So now, as you know, this is our 3-inch PVC, about 3 feet long. We have a position here that I can pour the patty in here and blow off any of the immature rice or debris that's light that might go in it. Now what I did here was, this is just going from 3-inch, then it goes down to a 2-inch. This is just a reducer, and then I took this lid, cut a hole in it, taped it on here, and now I have a container for catching my rice. Just something that is interesting is that the patty with the husk on will last more or less indefinitely for decades, but once you remove the husk, the rice does start to degrade. So one could say you can harvest, let's say, 100 pounds of rice, but you're only going to eat 3 pounds a month. So you only process 1 month at a time, which would be 3 pounds. Maybe if you're going to do 5 pounds, you do that. That way you can store it, as long as it's dry, indefinitely, and just process what you're going to eat for that month or that week. So now we're going to do process the ½ pound of medium grain rice. I'm going to try and pour it at a rate of about 30 pounds per hour. But I'm just going to pour by hand into my funnel, and in the end we'll make, hopefully we'll separate it, do 3 passes, and we'll see. Hopefully we'll be up over 25%. So I'm just pouring this in. I forgot to start my stopwatch. So I did the ½ pound in just over 30 seconds. So that's 60 pounds an hour. As you can see, there are unhulled rice, which we would expect, but they're bigger, so it looks like more than what it really is. It's probably 70 minimum. But I'll bet if I actually were to count these out, it would be 80% or more have been hauled. Now let's separate it. This is our separator system, and we're just using a piece of stainless steel that has 1/8-inch holes in it, and this is the one we use for our small grain rice. And it is by the rice there will fall through, but the rice with the husk won't. Now we're processing some medium grain rice, and I can't find a piece of sheet metal. Actually, we use aluminum or stainless steel that's pretty thin, so that it'll vibrate well. But anyway, what we have is a motor here that's going to vibrate it, and then it's suspended with these bungee cords, as you can see there. It allows it to vibrate. The other thing that you're going to notice, instead of using the entire sheet here, I've made a trough because the rice and the patty will self-separate a bit because of specific gravity. The rice that's not hulled will float to the top. So I'm going to make a couple passes, and then we'll process the rice again. This is the motor we're using to vibrate the separator. So I'll pour the rice in here. The unhulled rice will drop through the screen, and the unhulled rice, which is the patty, will float down and go into that back tub. Let me start it. And when you do specific gravity, there's a certain height or certain amount of rice you want for it to work. As you see to the right there, that's where all the husks are. So the patty is drifting down, and hopefully we'll have most of our rice to be over here and drop down. Okay, so let me get rid of this guys. So we do have some that are stuck, which is not unexpected. So now, this is what this looks like. It's not great, but I'm going to pour that out. And then I'm going to take the tub and we'll take a look at it. If I can get it into an appropriate container. So you can see over here, this is what came on the screen. That's mostly unhulled rice. So we know we have to reprocess this. So now I'm going to reset this. Definitely want to make sure that I don't have rice spilling on the floor. So that rice that you saw, the patty rather, that's what we want to make sure. Separate it, we can run that separately, so now we don't have to run all of it through 2 or 3 times. So now I'm going to separate out the second time. I know that this rice that's been hulled is so small they will drop through. The problem is the ones with the husk on them are also dropping through. The idea is we are going to have to run it all again, but we want to minimize how many times the rice that's involved gets run. So now this has gone through our process twice. And I don't know if it got any better. Yeah, it's definitely gotten better. But we will have to haul this rice again. And let's see what we've got. Oops. Let's see what we've got over here. It's not much rice. But this was the patty. So now I'm going to rerun some of the rice. We've now processed the medium grain rice. I want to show you this. We did 2 passes. The separation was difficult, but in the end we did get up to 98% or better. We also then slowed down the rate, and it didn't really help. We went from 60 pounds an hour down to 30 pounds an hour, but still got about the same hauling rate. Then we also did some short grain rice that we had and got much better results. Didn't have to do any separating. This is the short grain rice, 2 passes. Over here, this is the medium grain rice, and we're going to have some breakage, and we also have, even though we're up into the 90%, we'd still like to do better than that. So if we could get a separator that works. If you don't have a separator, I suggest that if you're going to use this impact hauler or a design similar to it, that you do small grain rice, or rather short grain rice. Short grain appears to do better just running through the impact hauler, plus we can separate it with 1/8" holes in a sheet of metal. So the lesson learned here is move to short grain rice. If you're going to do the medium or long grain, then you need to figure out how to separate it. So we've shown you how this impact hauler works. We really like the short grain rice. Works much better. We've also done the winnowing, and that can be done a lot better also. But this is progress. Good luck with your rice processing.